So what I'm saying is that monogamy, if you want to know why I'm so anti-degeneracy, why I'm so anti-promiscuity, things like that. If you look at all the Western nations where all the promiscuity is allowed everywhere at all times, like she says, I feel like we don't have a choice to do what? There's nobody stopping you literally from doing anything. Any form of degeneracy you could ever think of right now, you can basically do, and you have a right to do it at all times, whenever you feel like it, everywhere inside of the United States. I can't think of a single one, a single thing that you would be like, I just have to go and do this horrible degenerate thing. What is it that you couldn't go do right now? What choice are you being limited?
I'm not limited. I think I'm more so talking about other people feeling the psychological pressure of society. Like women get judged, men get judged too, actually. Just there's so much judgment. And I think that's unnecessary.
Yeah, what's wrong with judgment? Judgment's good.
Because it stirs people away from doing what they want to do.
Yeah, but
as long as they're not hurting other people.
This is my problem, right? This is why
just because you can do it doesn't mean you should.
So this is a problem with Twitch politics. You got Twitch brain, okay? So what's happened because of your Twitch brain is you hear all the hedonists on Twitch say, do what makes you feel good, man. The good is the good. Do the good. Whatever makes you feel good.
Have you ever watched my Twitch
What
channel?
about your duty and obligations? Do you have any of those? Do you just have a sequence of entitlements that you call rights with zero duties and zero rights?
Actually, Twitch chat also puts pressure on me. I think this is mentality that I came on my own, which was really hard because there's, like I said, so much pressure from everyone.
Yeah, but answer to my question. So my question is, do you just have a sequence of entitlements, or do you have any duties and obligations to anybody for anything ever?
Your question is very vague. Can you paraphrase it to be more specific?
I don't know how it could possibly be more precise. Do you know what a duty is?
Could you define that
No,
for
I'm
me?
just asking if you know what one is before I define it. Before we become too overly pedantic, I just want to make sure that you are going to tell me that you don't know what that word means first before I define it. Not that you're making me do it because you want to be overly pedantic.
English is my second language.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that you don't understand what I'm saying.
I don't know how this relates. She was talking about freedom of choice, and you said, well, you're legally allowed to do whatever you want. And then she was talking about socialization and being inculcated to have certain habits. And you said, what's wrong with shame? Yeah. It's fine to be shamed, but she's saying that women aren't avoiding promiscuity because of the adverse effects that you think are inherent to promiscuity. It's because they don't want to be called a 304 or a slut. If you think there's
That's not what she said.
That is what she's implying. She's saying if there's actually negative side effects of having a lot of sex, those will manifest in themselves. It doesn't have to take the form of guys calling her a slut. That's the sort of absence of freedom of choice. That is what she was saying.
No, we were talking about monogamy.
She's about girls being slut shamed.
No, we're talking about monogamy and the expectation to have.
She's saying society. She feels like it's not fair that society is casting stigma on social behaviors. That's what she's actually saying.
She's saying it's mutually exclusive with freedom of choice, and you understood freedom of choice to mean legal rights, and she was saying no,
not just legal
judgment
rights.
And socialization and stigma.
That's
and
what I'm
then you
talking
said,
about
what's
is
wrong
stigma.
with stigma.
Literally talking about stigma right this second. That's why I'm asking, do you feel like you only have a sequence of entitlements which are given, or do you feel like you have any duties and obligations external to those? A duty, an obligation.
To who?
Like a child or a dog or a job.
Like if you're a parent, do you have a duty to feed your child if you're a parent?
I'm not a parent. You want me to imagine what it's like?
How would you feel if you ate breakfast this morning?
How would I feel if I ate breakfast?
Yeah.
Full?
Yeah. How would you feel bad if you didn't eat breakfast this morning?
I would require more minerals. That is correct.
Okay, great. So we know that you can do hypotheticals. So let's not be pedantic then. So
I still don't know what pedantic is.
Yeah, you don't know what it is. You don't know what pedantry is because English is your second language. Are you sure?
That is correct.
Okay. Well, let's move into it anyway. I'm just going to ask, and I'll use really small words. Do you have a duty? And if you don't know what the word duty means, when I say it in the context of feeding a child, I'll tell you.
Are you asking me to answer if I had a child, would I feed the child? And that's your definition of duty?
Now, do you have a duty to feed the child? Some obligation?
I would feed my child.
Do you have an obligation to feed your child?
I feel like this is a lot of semantics.
Legally, yes, you do have an obligation to feed your child.
Semantics are super important. So I'm just wondering, do you have an obligation to feed your child?
I would feed my child.
Do you have an obligation to do that, though?
Yes, legally you have an obligation.
I don't understand.
You don't understand that when I ask you one question and then you answer to a question I didn't ask you, that you don't understand why I keep repeating the question.
Andrew.
If I say, would you feed your child? And you say, yes, I'd feed my child. Then that's an answer to that question. If I ask you if you have an obligation to feed your child and you say, I would feed my child, that's not answering if you think you have an obligation to do so.
I will feed my child, and that is the last thing I'm going to say.
No, but do you have
you would feed your child because you feel
have an obligation?
Obligated.
Like, because you have to, basically. You have to feed
If my
your
child
kid.
is hungry, I will feed him. Yes.
No, but do you have an obligation to feed your child?
Like, let's put it this way. Some guy wants to fly you out to France for $2 million, or your baby needs to eat, and you're like,
wait,
well,
into the mic, please.
Well, the baby, I don't have to feed the baby, it'll live, but I can go on this France trip. Like, you know, some people would be like, you know what, fuck the baby, I'll hire a sitter to feed them. That's not my obligation right now. My obligation is like going to France and get this money. You know what I mean? So he's kind of saying like,
just one sec.
Her very body embraces the duty to the child via the mammary glands.
That's true.
Okay,
I think you should specify, do you mean like a legal duty or a moral duty?
I just said obligation first.
Yeah, do you mean legally or morally?
Well, that would be...
Or biologically?
First, I would need to figure out whether or not she even feels like she has any obligation or doesn't actually know what the word obligation means. If
but
you don't actually know what the word...
There's legal
I want to ask
obligations.
you something else. If he pulls up the definition of obligation and reads it to you, will you answer the question then, or are you just going to still answer it the same way?
I will try my best.
Okay.
Do you want me to? I can Google obligation, right?
If that's what you want to do, Brian.
An act or course of action to which a person is morally or legally bound, a duty or commitment.
A duty.
Moral and legal.
Yeah,
so both.
Specify legal or
Right.
moral. Specify for her which one.
A moral.
I feel like
will
this is
make
a very
sure
easy question.
Let's
to
just
say
say
moral.
No, it's not. If you were to ask me, are you obligated to be nice to the person next to you, I could say not necessarily.
Okay, are you
But
morally... should you morally feed your child?
Yes.
Okay, good. So now back over to you. Do you have an obligation to feed your child?
I will make sure that my child is well
Are
fed.
you morally
just
obliged to do so?
Answer the question, Myra. Did I get it right? Mira?
Mira?
Sorry, I'm not doing it. I swear I'm not doing it intentionally. I'm like that
Yes.
brain dead.
I will answer yes.
You have a obligation to do so.
Yeah, but it's not in front of other people. It's because I care for the child.
Okay, but there is a duty there.
Okay.
Okay,
There
so
is.
now we've established you know what duty means. So do you have any of those in society, or no?
Will I feed anyone else
That's
in
not
the
what
society?
I'm asking. I'm asking if you have any duties in society now that you understand the context of what duty means, or is it all just entitlement?
I feel like I can make certain difference in life that would be helpful to people, but I don't have to.
Okay, so you don't have any duties or obligations to anybody else in society, just a sequence of entitlements?
I don't know what sequence of entitlement is.
So like, let's take a right. Would you say a right's an entitlement?
Can you be more specific? Can you give me like...
Yeah, like your right to free speech for a context. That's an entitlement. Would you say you're entitled to that?
No.
No, you're not entitled to it.
I don't think anyone entitled to anything.
Nobody's entitled to anything
Yes.
except your baby to get food.
Yeah, but even there, like, it's all very subjective. Like, I would take care of the baby and feed the baby because I care for the baby.
Mm-hmm. But would you give a stigma towards people who didn't?
No,
Why?
because it's none of my business.
So if people weren't feeding their children and they were starving because they weren't feeding them, you wouldn't want a societal stigma against that.
I'm not there to judge. There are other people that can do that.
So do you think
It's their
the
job.
world then is going to be a better place or a worse place because you refuse to judge and allow us to societal stigma towards people who won't feed their children?
This reminds me of my childhood.
I need to ask, do y'all feel the same way?
Well, so a couple things. I feel like
I'm asking. I just want to finish this real
I'm
quick.
thinking, yes,
Yeah,
I'm thinking.
Is
I
the
could
world
get-
going to be a better or a worse place by you refusing to allow a stigma towards people who won't feed their own children?
So I think that the reason why this comparison doesn't work is because in the first case, the life of a child that is not able, I'm assuming, to feed himself or herself is a danger. And the second one, you're judging someone else's personal/sexual life.
I don't understand. Why wouldn't that work? We're talking about a stigma towards a behavior that we don't like to see the benefits in society due to the stigma.
Because like I said, the first one, someone's life depends on it.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody that technically is not capable of feeding themselves. And the second case, it's...
What are you talking about?
I
not
have like a great
affecting
example
anyone's
I'd love
health.
to ask her that maybe it could put it more specifically, like as an example
Okay.
and not so much as a statement. So here we go. When I was a kid, my dad used to like beat the living fucking shit out of me for like 15 years. And one day, and I sang my entire life growing up. One day I was singing. I come outside. My neighbor's like, "Oh my God, you have such a lovely voice. Like, you're such a good singer. Like, never stop singing." And I feel really good, feel really great. And then 10 seconds later, I realized, wait, if she can hear me singing, she can definitely hear when I'm like screaming bloody murder for help. And no one's helping. And so I think in this, what his question could go towards this: if you were my neighbor, would have you felt obligated to call the police?
Do you have a duty
CPS,
to do so?
Or would you have said, that's none of my business, I'm not going to get into that?
Actually, that's that's a good framing.
Yes, that is. Thank you for clarifying it. So I think I should have mentioned, maybe I did, but briefly, is that as long as nobody getting hurt, if no one's health or life is in danger, do what you please. Do not let others influence your life.
Well, he's going to say promiscuity hurts people, but that example doesn't pan out to her because she's talking about personal choice in terms of desire, not action. So even if you don't want to feed the baby and you feel obligated to, you're still going to feed the baby. She's talking about personal desire to have sex being suppressed by stigma, not actually whether you act on it.
Or get married.
Wasn't that the point of the analogy? Weren't we talking about promiscuity?
We started off talking about with monogamy with her, then she came in, then she started talking about there's a pressure on women to have children and to get married. That's not really related to promiscuity necessarily.
Right, what we're talking instead is about societal duties. So the question becomes, if we're looking at the United States, we're looking at Western nations, which are underneath the threshold for replacing their own people inside of those nations. Way underneath, not even replacing themselves, period. Is there any duty for us to do that? And you would say there's no duty to do that. Right? There's no duty. So why wouldn't we, for instance, if I was the president of the United States tomorrow, why wouldn't I want to have some type of push towards women to see them kind of view this as a duty to do, a duty to try to get married younger, to try to have families younger so that I could bring that birth rate up, for instance, so that I could replace the society which I currently have. You don't think that that's a good idea?
You trying to replace the society? That sounds like some Hitler shit. That's crazy.
Well, I think right now we're seeing a lot of there's people that there's a couple things going on.
Bone Man 538 donated $199. Natural law is upheld when no harm is done to persons, property, the public peace, and or the public trust. The entitlement of benefit comes with the responsibility or the sense of duty to the group.
Thank you, Bone Man 538. Thank you. Did you have something, Andrew?
Yeah. So
I think she accused you of being Hitler.
Yeah. So if my goal.
Sorry. Hold on 1 second.
Modest donated $200. Lamau, I was simping for a girl with a monkey playing cymbals in her brain. WTF came over me. Christ is Lord. Andrew W. Chicks need a civics class. Number 3 based. Promiscuity does hurt people.
What is based? I'm sorry.
Just means awesome, epic,
based in
cool.
reality.